Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Arizona's Secretary of State Adrian Fontes responds to claims that he interfered with the federal investigation. Also tonight, the ramifications of a landmark verdict against social media giants Meta and Google. And a local nonprofit looks to break the stigma surrounding teen suicide and mental illness. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simon. State Senate President Warren Peterson has called for a federal investigation into Attorney General Kris Mayes and Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. Peterson claims that the two interfered with a federal probe tied to ballots cast by Maricopa County voters in the 2020 election. Secretary of State Adrian Fontes joins us now to respond to the allegations. We should note that we reached out to Warren Peterson, but he said that he would only consider our request for an interview after the investigation is complete. Secretary Fontes, good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us here. He wants a federal investigation. The claim is that you and the Attorney General interfered with a federal probe. How do you respond to that?
Well, I mean, what could have been an email has turned into a circus, right? In my effort to follow the law and protect Arizona's voters' information, what we did was inquire as to the Senate President what was part of the stuff that he sent over to the Department of Justice and the FBI under the subpoena that he fulfilled some time back. Because he, as well as everybody else who's involved with maintaining and holding this data, has a duty to Arizona's citizens to protect certain parts of this data from release unlawfully. And he should know, because he's an attorney, you can challenge a subpoena in whole or in part. And he never challenged any of the part of the subpoena that might have pertained to personal identifying information. So in our effort to follow state law and protect Arizona's personal identifying sensitive information, we've been fighting against the Department of Justice's request, and he just surrendered everything over. I don't even know if he knows what was in that information, much less did he know whether or not he should be redacting it. And it's got some pretty important ramifications for some people.
Well, talk about those ramifications.
Well, I mean, let's assume for a moment you were a 20-year-old voter in 2020 when you registered to vote, and in 2026 now you're a police officer, or you were an attorney then and now you're a judge, or you were now a prosecutor. These are protected voters, and their data is supposed to be protected from any of these inquiries. Did he even check that? And the fact that we're challenging the notion that just this data can be sent out there willy-nilly, he's saying that that's interference. Well, what he's calling interference, I call following the law, and I think he's perfectly misguided in his assessment.
He's also claiming that you encourage state and local officials to refuse compliance with federal grand jury subpoenas. Did you do so?
No. As a matter of fact, we encouraged compliance with the law. The law is very clear in this area, and if he was really read up on this stuff, he would also understand that anytime you receive a subpoena, if you're a custodian of records, you have a duty to protect those records. So you can clarify that subpoena with the court and say, hey, court, do we turn everything over or just the unredacted parts? What is it exactly that we need to turn over if that clarification is necessary? We have no evidence that he took that cautionary step to protect voters' data. So the fact that he's saying that I'm interfering with something really is a deflection from the fact that he may not have followed the law himself.
Was it necessary? I think the Attorney General's office was asking for what voter information was sent. Was it necessary for you and the Attorney General to make these requests, to ask these questions? Because he's saying it's not necessary, you're interfering.
Well, he's saying it's not necessary, we're interfering, because that's probably to cover up what he's done, and that is not check. You know, we have certain duties that we have to follow under the law, and the law is what dictates here. I think in America we still follow the rule of law, and if he didn't follow the law, and that there are certain classifications of voters and certain individuals who are now vulnerable, and remember, he's not just turning this data over to, you know, some voter organization or to some other registrar. He's turning it over to the same folks who put 300 million Social Security records on unsecured servers. We cannot rely on these folks to keep your data as Arizonans safe. I'm trying to figure out whether or not there's a problem. Now, if he did follow the law, all he had to do was send me an email and say, we followed the law. But he's chosen instead to turn this into a circus, and that's on him.
And he's saying that this is your actions and the Attorney General's actions are, I think the description was thinly veiled attempt to intimidate county recorders and election officials. How do you respond to that?
Well, his thinly veiled attempt to understand and follow through with his duties to protect Arizonans is what's thinly veiled. We were telling people what the law is, and we never said that you shouldn't comply with a grand jury. That's inaccurate on its face. You can go to the correspondence. It's publicly available. We never told anybody that they would get in trouble if they followed the law. But we also emphasized to folks, you have a duty to protect Arizonans' information. That's sensitive information, like your day and month of birth, your mom's maiden name, tribal ID numbers, driver's license numbers. These are bits of sensitive information that we've been battling to protect. I've been standing in the way of the Department of Justice getting this information and handing it over to ICE or the Department of Homeland Security. I've been standing in the way, and he's basically just doing whatever the Trump administration wants. And that could be a problem if he didn't follow the law.
But by standing in the way, I think that's part of what the request describes as a pattern of conduct that suggests an inappropriate attempt to interfere with a grand jury investigation, a pattern of behavior. You've talked about how this is you're at odds here. This is a you know, he said, she said, left, right, whatever you want to call it. He calls it a pattern of behavior, and he thinks that is interference. Does he have a bit of a point?
No, he doesn't have a bit of a point, because if I was actually interfering, there's legal definitions that matter here, and words really matter. We also know that his political allies have been working towards this notion that we don't follow the law. We do. We make sure that only citizens are voting. We make sure folks are getting their IDs if they vote in the polling places. We make sure to check for residential addresses when folks are registering to vote. The law is very clear, and we follow the law. There's this narrative out there that they're politically trying to build that is getting in the way of us trying to do our jobs, because they want to bend at the knee and help Donald Trump pick his own voters. That's what this is about at the end of the day. And I'm not going to stand for it, even if Senate President Warren Peterson is willing to bend the knee.
Yeah, so when the claim and this request that you and the Attorney General have a, quote, phobia of fair and secure elections, when that claim is made, how do you respond to that?
It's laughable. It's laughable when you look at the fact that I was the chief election officer in Arizona in 2024 when Donald Trump won. I convened the Electoral College that gave him those 11 electoral votes here in Arizona. We run fair elections. When I was the county recorder, I presided over my own re-election loss in 2020. I run fair elections because I follow the law. That's what matters here. Now, if he wants to obfuscate and try to detract from the fact that he may have surrendered sensitive voter data, and he wants to scare people into thinking we're doing something wrong because he might have screwed up, that's political theater. That's what's unacceptable, and he needs to check himself.
Attorney General's office, I think, that says that this is kind of laying the groundwork for denying election results coming up in November. Is that part of your thinking as well?
You got to go all the way back to find that particular pattern of election denialism, conspiracy theories, executive orders, threats of taking over elections by the federal government, and all kinds of other lawsuits and stuff to show that absolutely is what we're looking at. Because from a political perspective, and now, look, this is me doing my job, but on the political side of things, if things shape up in the fall the way it looks like they might shape up, for Mr. Trump and his political, allies, they're going to need an excuse as to why they got their butts handed to them by the American public. But it's not going to happen on my watch, because we've got the receipts for the law that we have followed. I'm very confident that this is going absolutely nowhere, and we need to focus on making sure that we've got the resources we need in the counties so they can run their elections well.
Last question on this. Is there anything you can do to take what is obviously a political, this has become very much political.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a political year. We're dealing with elections. I get all that. But there is such a political aspect to this.
Yeah.
What can you do to quiet the fires, to tamp things down?
Well, this isn't really about quieting the fires. We have to have a robust political conversation in America during our election season. That's what this is about. It's never been quiet. It's never been genteel and polite. We like to think sometimes that it is. But the bottom line is this. When you've got the receipts, when you've got truth on your side, and you're not backing wild conspiracy theories with lies and innuendos like some of the folks on my political opposites are, you're going to be okay. And I think when you talk to the vast majority of Americans, they understand that in my administration, which is bipartisan, Our state election director that I appointed is a Republican. We have always done a really good job following the law. And that's why most of the lawsuits that have been filed against us have totally failed, because we follow the law. That's what's important here, not the distraction.
Okay, and this is my last question, and briefly, if you could. He wants a federal investigation. He wants a probe of all of this. If you have followed the law, if you've done everything you said you have done, what's the worry?
Well, the worry is that we're wasting time and energy, we're wasting taxpayer resources on these ridiculous conspiracy theories, and we've already wasted enough after 2020. I mean, how much taxpayer dollars do we have to use to continue to chase Donald Trump's grievances? We're done with that. We need to move on, we need to move forward, and we need to keep protecting Arizona's voters' personal data.
Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Ever wonder what today's workforce looks like and how to prepare the next generation? Your local public media station and American Graduate Jobs Explained are here to break it all down on the most popular social media platforms. Real people, real jobs, from trades and healthcare to hospitality, tech, and more. Explore local opportunities for a brighter and more profitable tomorrow.
I'm talking high-paying, interesting jobs just waiting for you.
American Graduate Jobs Explained. Visit jobsexplained.org to learn more.
It's about to go down.
The wildlife just take over.
The age of discovery is now.
It's a journey like no other.
Everyone is getting involved in this.
You'll see a kaleidoscope of color. It's like magic.
My hands are shaking.
I think I just fell in love.
I'm Chef Mark Charbel. Welcome to Check Please Arizona, the show where Arizona residents recommend their favorite restaurants. In this episode, we're going bold on flavor: Greek, barbecue, and Central Mexican cuisine.
I feel like they took that recipe from somebody's nana. Like, it's so good.
I have the brisket, which had one of the perfect smoke rings around it.
Perfect smoke ring.
Perfect smoke ring.
I love that. Watch Thursday at 7 p.m. on Arizona PBS.
A Los Angeles jury recently found that Meta and Google platforms contributed to a young woman's mental struggles and addiction to social media. The jury awarded $6 million in damages. Now, that dollar amount was not much to the two companies involved, but the decision makes it a landmark case for social media accountability. And to learn more, we welcome Nasser Aboushbara. He's the managing attorney of Phillips Law Group. Nasser, good to have you here. Thanks for
having me.
All right, so describe the court case. Describe the jury verdict and why this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a very big deal. People are calling it the big tobacco moment for social media. So, for the last 2 decades plus, the social media company's been able to hide behind something called Section 230. Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act, which protects content on Facebook or Instagram or anything else. And so if me or you go on and we say something incendiary, you can't sue Facebook. However, for the last 2 decades plus, they have been creating algorithms. They've been creating a platform that has addicted our children. And this lawsuit said that.
How do they know it has addicted our children?
Sure. That's the beauty of the American court system, right? That we have something called discovery. And during this process with this young woman that brought this case, they were able to receive documents from Facebook, documents from Google. They would hire scientists to try to make the platform more addictive to our children. Imagine, being 9, 10, 11 years old and receiving dozens of push notifications in the middle of the night. And so that was the theory behind the case, right? That the platform itself was addictive, and it was intentionally designed this way.
$3 million compensatory, $3 million punitive. So again, we're talking multi-billion-dollar companies. This is a drop in the bucket, but they're going to have to figure out what this jury verdict means for all these other cases that are out there with similar allegations and claims.
This is a drop of a drop of a drop in the bucket for Meta. No, there's 4,000 cases in the
wow,
right? And so, the day that the verdict came out, Meta's stock price fell about 5%. So it mattered. It meant something, and hopefully they take real steps to fix it.
And it sounds as though, again, from a distance, it looks as though this is like the first time that social media apps have been defined as products, have been defined as defective products. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I'm a plaintiff's personal injury lawyer, right? And so it's sort of ironic in a way that really taking sort of your typical personal injury, negligence sort of tactics in the trial finally got us to this place because, yes, they treated it as a products claim. They didn't treat it as a speech claim or anything like that, and that's how they were able to get around Section 230. Again, these beauty filters. I'm old enough to remember that you could actually scroll to the end of Instagram, it would stop. That doesn't happen anymore, right? They have something called the infinite feed that you can just keep going and going and going. And so that was the idea behind it.
You mentioned big tobacco, and that's the first thing I thought of when I heard about all this. It feels like the same thing that happened with big tobacco, I think in the 90s. Compare the two situations.
Sure. Look, unfortunately, we live in a capitalist society, right? And the only way companies make change here is if they have to pull out their pocketbook. And bringing the jurors like us, jurors that are parents that see what's happening to their children every single day. This is what started in the 90s. This is what started when people brought claims against the big tobacco companies that said, you are addictive. You are providing addictive products to our populace, right?
Yeah, other than, no, we're not. What kind of argument do these companies have? I mean, obviously, the free speech. I think YouTube is saying we're not a streaming service. I'm sorry, we're a streaming service. We're not a social media site. I mean, does it become a question of semantics?
Look, I mean, they clearly have a defense. Again, that's the beauty of our judicial system, right? I mean, they're still going to say that it wasn't, that this is just speech at the end of the day, that anything that's going on, that we are still protected behind Section 230. They're appealing. They're appealing that they're saying that the pre-trial rulings in these cases were incorrect, that it should never even gotten to a jury verdict, right? That's what they're trying to say, that essentially allowing this to be a products claim, like you just said, was sort of the incorrect legal sort of prism to look around. So it is being appealed. I just don't think it's going to get very far.
When it comes to discovery, though, in some of these other cases, 4,000 you said? When it comes to discovery, is a lot of stuff being shuffled around here to try to hide? Because, I mean, goodness gracious, this was information from these companies saying this is what it's designed to do.
Yes, and they designed it this way. I mean, for example, Meta's own documents say that 1 out of 8 children receive direct messages from child predators. That by the time that the kids are 14 years old, we want to hook them in. These are just their documents, right? Unfortunately and fortunately, that's how our system works. We get a hold of these documents and we can present them in a court of law.
The legal system obviously works with precedent. Is this precedent? Is this a one-off case?
It's neither precedent nor a one-off case, right? Again, this was treated as a personal injury case. So it's not like that the next person, if I brought a claim for my client, I couldn't use this case to prove my damages. I would have to start from the beginning. However, it's a big shot across the bow. I think Google and Meta have to start doing some math, right? 6 million is one thing. 6 million times 4,000. I'm not a mathematician, but that becomes a pretty big number.
But that's interesting. So the precedent in an individual personal injury case doesn't necessarily transcend to other cases, even though they might be similar?
It does not, no. There could be some efficiencies involved, right? That we might be able to skip some certain discoveries, skip some certain rulings, but no, every case is its own case. And that, again, I think heightens the issue here for Meta and Google, because they're going to have to pay their attorneys for every single case, right? They can't just hide behind a one-off defense.
If nothing else, it shows what's possible.
Yes.
Okay, last question. What do we take from this?
What we take from this is our judicial system is working, and it takes guts, and it takes lawyers, and it takes this family of this young woman to step up and to fight this huge corporation to stand up and say, what you're doing to our children is not okay. So I think that's really, at the end of the day, we have to take action. And if the government's not going to, lawyers and families will.
Nasser Abujbara, again, Phillips Law Group. Good to have you here, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The nonprofit Kid in the Corner hopes to shatter the stigma surrounding mental illness and suicide in young people. The organization goes into Valley schools to educate, spread awareness, and connect kids to their community. Francine Sumner is the founder of Kid in the Corner, and she joins us now. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Give me a better definition of Kid in the Corner.
So Kid in the Corner is a nonprofit organization that's out to shatter stigma that surrounds mental illness and support the kid in the corner, whoever that may be, right? Who's the kid in the corner?
Yes.
We're all the kid in the corner. We've all been the kid in the corner.
I was going to say, where'd the name come from?
Yeah. It's basically everybody struggles. Everybody struggles silently. Kids don't speak up. They don't feel comfortable asking for help. Mental health is stigmatized, but not physical health. And so we're out to normalize the two.
When you mentioned the stigma attached here, what does that mean? What does that mean to you?
It means shame and embarrassment. It means a society that views mental health, people that are struggling with mental health, as weak. And so what happens is we wind up internalizing that ourselves. And we think if we're struggling with some type of mental health issue, that we're weak, we should be able to get over it ourselves. Maybe it's all in our minds. That stigma.
And this is 4th through 12th graders, talking
Correct.
to 4th through 12th graders, just simply about mental health, and with like peer support and other things, and services offered, these sorts of things as well?
Right. So we go into schools. We have a program that's a 3-day program in elementary schools. It's called the Penny Pledge Program. And the idea is, right, one penny alone doesn't mean much, but collectively, they add up. They can change culture, change behaviors. And so at the end of the program, kids pledge to reach out to the kid in the corner. They pledge to take care of their own mental health, and they pledge to be a safe and caring person for others. And each part of that pledge is the program on each day. So the first day, we learn about how to reach out to the kid in the corner, how to support somebody, how to have the conversations. Second day, we learn about how to take care of our mental health and create self-care plans. And third day, we learn how to assist somebody that might come to us and say they're struggling. What are the hotlines and resources? What's the difference between tattling and advocating? Things like that.
These can be pretty sensitive topics and subjects. How do you make sure you get the point across without getting it across in the wrong way?
So it's very, very foundational. We move the desks away. We sit around a circle. We're out of the academic environment. And we just talk about, what does depression feel like? Does anybody know what that is and what that feels like? What do you do when you're depressed? What do you do when you have those feelings? And we start to normalize colds and sad and bad days, and then there's bronchitis and severe mental health disorders, right? It's a spectrum. And so what do we do just when we're having our sad and bad days? And how do we know when it's time to get help?
I also noticed that there was something called contagious kindness that is promoted. What's that all about?
So contagious kindness, Zachary, my son, was extremely kind. He was one of those very empathetic people. And kindness leads to connection, and it matters. So we come from a place of kindness as opposed to, we do a lot of what to do versus what not to do. So we don't really talk about bullying and things like that. We talk about being kind first to ourselves and then to others.
That's interesting about talking about, not necessarily talking about what not to do.
That's right.
That's that's because we hear a lot about anti-this and anti-that.
That's right.
This is pro-this and pro-that.
Pro-this and pro-that. We're giving kids the tools, the skills, the language, the resources they need to be successful today with their mental health.
And you mentioned Zach. Talk to us about Zach as much as you feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah, Zachary. Zachary was my youngest. He took his life in a very manic moment. He was misdiagnosed on the wrong medication, and that was all related to stigma. He didn't know how to take care of himself. His friends didn't know how to support him. We didn't know where the hotlines and resources were, and we were constantly chasing the tail of stigma for 6 months.
Yeah. The services, when you look back, the services that would have helped, could have helped, were they there or were they just not promoted enough?
They were not promoted enough. There are really fabulous services here in Arizona. Take Teen Lifeline, for instance, right? Youth talk to youth before they're talking to adults. So if we go in and explain to youth how to use Teen Lifeline, why it's not scary, why they can trust these peers, what the outcomes will be, the fact that they can text, they don't have to call, what the hours that they're open, it gives kids a path forward, somewhere to go with what they're doing and what they're feeling.
What kind of reaction are you getting from the kids? What kind of reaction are you getting from their parents?
We have amazing outcomes. We have fabulous, fabulous metrics. When we're done, kids take a survey. I have kids that we've saved and changed lives. I have parents that come to me and say, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, to our kids' attention. We've had conversations at home, and now we're able to get help.
It sounds like the message is it's okay to not be okay.
That's it.
Yeah, and that what, better days are ahead?
Exactly. Tomorrow needs you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow needs you.
Where do you learn more about this program?
At our website, kidinthecorner.org.
And where do you go from here? I mean, what's next as far, I mean, is it just basically expanding the program, or are you
We are expanding the program. We're trying to reach as many youth across Arizona before we go beyond Arizona, and who knows?
Is there a question of getting into schools with this?
Yes, yes, yes. So last semester we hit 5,000 youth. Some schools, are so open to it, and some schools not so much. But we'll go where we can, and we continue to try. The program speaks for itself.
Yeah, so it is presented in schools around the valley, but the school has to agree to it and these sorts of. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Once again, Kid in the Corner. Where do we go? Website?
www.kidinthecorner.org.
All right. Francine Sumner, great work. Congratulations on your success and continued success.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for sharing your story. We
appreciate you.
That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS delivers programs that serve as a trusted guide for little explorers. Thanks to you and...
You play flutes and people seem to connect to that sound. It creates community. It's truly magical.
Your brain. But who is really in control? It has a mind of its own.
There's always something pulling the strings.
Environment, change, people. Putting our sense of self to the test.
Come on. No,
Your brain. Who's in control on Nova?
Tonight at 8 on Arizona PBS.
I like to think that at Arizona Horizon we are unique in the way that we present information, public policy, sometimes news, these sorts of things, because we have conversations, and I don't want conversations that human